Hey guys, there.
I'm John.
I'm Lauren.
We are D&D Miniature and Board Games, and tonight we are going to review the up-and-coming High Noon. You want to hear what we thought? Stay tuned. And Tim, you want to try your quick draw
Let's
again,
do that
Tim?
over again. Why don't you load it this time?
Because that was really sad.
Sound like little ducks.
Hey, for those of you who have not watched any of our reviews, while these guys are cutting up, we review on 5 things: graphics and artwork, components, rulebook, replayability, and overall fun. We score on a 1 to 5, 5 being outstanding, 3 being basic, nothing good, nothing bad, really, just, it's a basic score. And then 1 being, horrible.
Complete pile of dog trash.
What he said. So normally what we'll do is we'll go through our scores for each category. Then if we have something to say, each one of us will say something. We'll go on to the next one. At the end, we'll tally it all up and give you a final score of somewhere between a 1 and 5. Lauren, what did you get for graphics and artwork score?
I gave it a 5. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It makes it look like High Noon, where you want to be, what you want to see. And I like this kind of artwork, so I gave it a 5.
Tim?
5.
I gave it a 4.
I was with John with a 4. Personally, it was what I expected. It just, to me, the art just wasn't stupendous. But for first time game designer, first time going to giving out to the public, I thought it was above average, so that's why I gave it the 4.
I really thought it was spot on. I mean, and for these to look like sketches from the period, I mean, you don't see a lot of people paying attention to stuff like that when it comes to a game like this. They're going to slap a cowboy hat on, Fred Durst, and he's a cowboy,
Right. I mean, and I do...
Google Fred Durst since nobody knows who he is anymore.
I do like that exact thing, is that when you're looking at, the character cards, it isn't what you're seeing in the rule book in the sense of the rule book being more of a cartoon art, whereas you're getting the more of a historic feel. Just, the era appropriate, like that. They were above. There was just a few things, color-wise, when it gets to graphics and artwork. To me, that also goes into what you're looking at, not just your book, but also your board. There's some areas there where I felt that could be improved upon, just to be able to distinguish some of the features. So it's still above average.
So, components. Lauren?
I gave it a 3. Some of the tiles are rather thin. We had some other issues with the elimination of the smaller pieces. Just not quite sturdy enough. Had to put some not slick things down to make it not move as well. So the components kind of, I say, run in the middle of the road here.
Tim?
I concur with what he said.
3. John?
Touche, good sir. I also gave it a trifecta.
So I had to go with 3 on components as well. My reasoning is, I love inserts in board games. I love it when the manufacturer puts an insert in, but this fixed everything until you go ahead and sleeve the cards, and then it doesn't fit. That should have been something maybe that was taken into consideration with making the insert. Enough space so sleeve cards would also fit. The other thing that I thought was that the cardstock for the tiles was a little bit too thin, causing us to have to use a neoprene mat upside down so that the tiles would not move around while we were playing.
Yeah, they're already folding up.
I felt also that in a 4-player game, we actually ran out of the tokens for gold. So if you're playing a 4-player game and you're really kind of cutthroat with each other and I think everybody except for one character took damage. You really need more gold tokens. And last but not least, the chips, which I used some other things for the damage so that we could see them better. The chips need a little bit more. The colors need to be a little bit more dramatic, I guess, because it took me a while to actually separate them out: the blues, the reds, and the greens. And if you have any type of even partial color blindness or not being able to see real well with not really being able to see real well, you're gonna have a hard time distinguishing the colors on those tokens.
It was normalized here, and wait. It was normalized here, and I couldn't see it very well.
That's a lie. If you watch the video, he's wearing his glasses the whole time.
Rule book, Lauren.
I gave it a 3. Certain things need some clarification. We'll get into that. I'll let you guys get into some of those things. Just on when you're shooting, not around corners, but past obstacles. Certain things just need some clarification. I'll let these guys get into it.
Tim.
I gave it a 3 as well. I thought it could be laid out a skosh better, but as well, like Lauren said, there's some things that are lacking in explanation that come up when you're playing the game, and I don't see them not coming up in other games. You know what I'm saying? This would be a reoccurring event. So,
John.
I also gave the rulebook a 3. There's a few things with it that I had some issues with. A simple one that kind of can leave you confused is just when you're setting the board up. When we're talking about the looted crates, it tells you to go in and you flip them so that the looted side is showing, which is exactly what you want to do because you don't want to know what's there. However, it never does go in and tell you to flip them right side up before you're playing, because when you're in the middle of playing the game, when you do loot the crate, then you're supposed to flip it to the looted side. So for someone that hasn't watched someone play it, it can be confusing at that. Those little things you may not know what you're going for, and it would make the game definitely play differently, not having a target in mind.
I as well. I gave rulebook a 3. I had to go along with John with the looted. We played it with what the loot token was, whether it was weapon or gear or
Rations.
Face up. And then he pointed out when we were done that, hey, it's supposed to be looted side up. And I said, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because if we left it looted side up so we didn't know what was there, we go and loot it, and then we put it back to looted side up, how do we know which tokens we looted and which ones we haven't? I felt that though they only had one setup currently, which was, I believe, Sweetwater Gulch.
it's called the Gulch.
Sweetwater Gulch. The picture in the book, and maybe it's just me, I couldn't figure out how to set up the tokens to make that picture on the map. So I came up with one that was as close as possible. Now, I also understand that you can set this up however you want. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. It can be any direction you want it to be. But also in the book it said that you could pick one of the scenarios, one of the already made maps, or make your own. But there was only the one map in the book, which I understand also there's expansions coming, and there will be more things coming later on. But because of those few things in there, and the one major one, more clarity on the player turn. In the rulebook, it doesn't really explain the player turn as well as people might think it does. Now, I know when Glenn and I played it the first time, we played where it was like I would do all my moves, she would do all her moves. I would do all my attacks, she'd do all her attacks. And then I ended up watching one of the playthroughs the other night, and I was like, and I'm watching, I'm going, okay, because later on in the rulebook, it does kind of give you where you think it's that way, but if you're doing it page per page and you're learning it, it's really not clear on the exact order on how people go. And that's why I kind of gave it a 3. It's basic. It's not a broken rule book by any means. You can play the game just fine with it. It's just there are things that could, if you want to make an outstanding rule book, things that need to be added, where a simple fact page just sent out when the Kickstarter or put in with the rule book or even put on the website is going to take care of the few issues that there are.
Yeah, it's not enough to break it, but it just might leave you a little bit frustrated if you don't do that little bit of extra research.
And if you're not somebody that plays a lot of games, it could really frustrate you.
Yeah.
Replayability. Lauren?
I gave it a 4. Looking at the cards, looking at the characters, the ability to change the map, in essence, make your own scenarios. I believe you could have a lot of more opportunity to get this and still have fun doing it and keeping it fairly equal. Everyone's kind of equaled out on the number of players you get and the power that each one has, and I think that could make for a few more rounds that would make it and playable for a few more times, or a lot more times actually.
I gave it a 3. I think this being new and not having, more components is one of the reasons why I got a 3. But I also could see where you know what the cards are, as far as what you're going to be getting throughout the game. Everybody else is going to learn that as well. It can get to a point where it's almost like Eric mentioned earlier in the playthrough. Making fun of Lauren saying he was counting cards. And that
Because he was.
right, you're going to get to a point with that with replayability. So I think until expansions start coming out, I think the replayability on this is just going to be average.
And kind of echoing Tim, I gave it a 4, but it really is based upon just this initial starter setup for the 4, because there is still variety. You can have a 3, 2, 4 player game where you're going to have difference in who you play. You're not going to have everybody memorized for a while. The cards are random as it comes up. But for it to be higher, you do want to have more map tiles. You are going to want more characters so that you aren't going to get that, we kind of played through this already. You hold those cards until the end. You don't want to have that come up, so you definitely need a little bit more variety.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I definitely see it as something that you get out and you play, because it does have that. Customize the map however you want, have it as big or small with the pieces that you have, and pick a team that killed you the last time. If you watch the playthrough that we did of it, you may just happen to have awesome cards in your hand and be able to kill a deputy in one move. So that's replayability to me, because it's random in the cards you get. Maybe the same ones, but hey. That's where the surprises come from, right? That's why we replay it.
That's right. Because, as you said, Tim's one character took out the deputy with no wounds in one attack because of the constant things. But when I played with Glenda the other day, I killed
a hell of a drug.
I killed the entire warband, and I think I took a wound. I'm not even sure if I got a wound. So, it's just how the cards flow. Mm-hmm. My replayability on it was a 5. My reasoning is that you have 12 tiles that can be arranged any way you want. You have a variety of, 12 plus 16. You have 18 loot tokens, so you never know which ones you're going to get. You have over 100 of the loot cards. So there is variety. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know. You may know the cards that each faction has. But just because, and as we were talking about the close combat warband character,
yeah, Kaya,
right? Tim, you were able to pull off an attack that nobody saw coming.
especially that deputy.
I know. But what are the odds? What are the odds that you get those cards
all those cards in your hand
again?
at one time? Yeah,
The odds it's astronomical. This is what makes replayability a 5 for me, because there is such a chance at never having the same game twice because of the amount of cards that you have. And I reshuffled mine, but I don't think you ever got to reshuffle yours.
I ran at the very end. I was on my last.
And
cards.
because Tim lost so many of his warband, he never was able to reshuffle his.
Lost
I
so
did.
many of my warband.
The whole warband.
They got killed.
Yes, that was a lot.
Only guy out, by the way.
100% lost.
Like normal.
Well, yeah.
And And I saw even with the Leroy gang dwindling, you just never know. That's why I gave it a 5.
No, you're right, because not every game is going to go all the way to high noon. You can have a bloody first 2 hours in the streets and everybody dies but one. I mean, so that's the thing. It's going to be different every single time you play it.
Yeah, it's going to be different. That's for sure.
So, Lauren, fun.
I gave it a 5. I enjoyed it. I like cowboys and Indians. High noon. It was I think by changing characters around, you did a different play style each time, but everything at the end of the day is pretty much equal. I really enjoyed, especially when the deputy got taken down. That was the funnest part of the last game we played. I can't wait to see that again, and not my guy get killed. So.
They were head.
I had a lot of fun with this. I could see this being enjoyable, and the next time we play it, it would be a lot faster. So, it's good.
And that's the one thing I think that being the first time, it
yeah.
draws down on it a little
Hello? How many times have we ever played a game first time through in whatever it's supposed to take? I mean, you don't. It don't happen like that.
Well, our playthrough was kind of long, and we had to play before that, and then Glenn and I played the other night also. So,
We're just showing you, realistic, and actually yours may take even longer when you go and play it. It could take longer than that. You never know what it's going to be there, based upon the experience. Did you say your fun level?
I did not.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said 4. I gave it a 4, and the only reason I'm giving it a 4 is the same reason that I gave the replayability a 3, is we just don't have enough variety of, we got 4 factions, great, but it's just those 4 factions. You can't swap anybody else out, you can't mix them together to make your own unique band type thing, So I think the only thing that limits this right now for higher scores in those 2 categories is just that this is the base, and that's all we have right now is the base. As soon as more starts coming out, you'll see the replayability and the fun probably go through the roof.
Yeah, so fun. I gave it a 5. I had fun playing it, and it wasn't because I won. It was because I shot the shit. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
But then he killed
and
me.
it bounced off him and hit me.
I know, right?
The sheriff took down a lot of the Leroys.
Yes, he did.
Debbie didn't do very much. He took out a Rough Rider, but
I really did have fun with it. It's something that, along with the replayability, and that's sometimes where you get those two, they get a little bit blended and mixed. When you're replaying something, that's because you are having fun playing it. This is something that, with each time being different, going in there, you're able to just pick up and go at each other.
I think
You could make this game be not as fun by running to the corner and hiding. If you're someone that goes and sits, nothing at Lauren here, but really, it's going to come down to how your individual play style is, and with the group that you play. Because in our one that we did earlier, I ran out in the middle of the street and just got blown up. But you know what? Hey, it was still fun because we were able to see stuff. So, well,
dude, you had every one of your guys jump through windows and take damage in the first round.
And you know what? It was awesome.
And then go, oh wow, I don't even have cards that can shoot or defend.
Exactly. It showed you.
This
should
isn't
pay
my guy.
attention.
This
I was
isn't
like,
my guy.
Jimmy.
The only guy I got cards for is the one standing in the back of the saloon.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Your group, like I've said in other reviews, the group of people you play with is going to impact how much fun you have with this. This is definitely an above average fun game. And if you like a Wild West theme, if you like cowboys, Indians, whiskey, tumbleweeds,
I like whiskey.
you're going to have some fun here. I had.
Eric?
So my overall fun was a 4. I had a really good time every time I played this. And I can see with, like everybody's brought up, we know that there's expansions coming for this game. We know this.
Yes.
We know it from the
See.
back. I know it from the original Kickstarter. I know it from the Facebook page. I know it from things that Dwight has said in his posts. I know there's expansions coming for this. Did I have fun with the 4-player starter? Yes. Will I continue to have fun with the 4-player starter? Yes. It is a fun game. It has...
Downtime.
You never know what's going to happen. You just don't.
What's the downtime? You have to pay attention to everybody.
Well, you do, but when you're sitting there and I'm moving like 5 people,
I have to pay attention to everything that you're freaking doing.
Yeah, because we want to know where those guys with only 4 hits
They're
are
going.
going.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because that's easy gold there.
Is it though?
The Leroy's were easy.
For you. My guys couldn't get hits on anything.
You see, this is why you search for exploding ammunition.
And I found some.
And when your deputy's dead, and you got the sheriff who has a lot of 5-hit cards, it's an automatic 8.
And you know, one random thing though, I think that would make it even more fun is at 6 o'clock, because we're playing high noon, right? So at 6 o'clock, all looted crates suddenly were filled by the magical train of delivery people.
A resurrection spell.
Yeah, as in something, because as you're
The
going
Great
in there,
Spirit.
as it gets down there and you've gone through stuff, all right, getting through the rest of those cards, there's so many of them, as Eric talked about. So you want to be able to get through and search and explore and do that. Well, once you've flipped over all your loot crates and you're looted out, it's not the same.
I mean, I get that.
It's still fun.
I get that, but if you think about it, most of the things you find in loot crates are good for about 6 turns. You usually don't find them until the second or third turn, so you're already in turn 9. Even if you use them every time, the odds that you're going to use them every time, it's not very high. I mean, exploding ammunition, I know I joke around about it, but it's not joking. But exploding ammunition lasts for 6 turns, and I ran out of it at 11. When it hit 11 o'clock, that's when I was out of exploding ammunition.
But again, that comes into your variance though, based upon how many attacks you're able to do. Because if you have some characters that you're able to do multiple cards or multiple turns,
plus character,
multiple actions, you can go through those faster. So
yeah.
so you're gonna see that. So really, it all depends. It's just things that we're just talking about. Because hey,
And it's not something
fun.
it's not something you can't house rule. But we're also talking about the Wild West where supplies weren't in abundance. So would you want...
Supplies were everywhere.
Resupply was
Hey,
miles away off of wagons.
you guys got a lot of supplies off my dead bodies.
There you go. That's what I was saying. It's like, hey, that guy's got cake. I want cake. Can I have some cake? No. Bam! I can have some cake.
You got to meet outside at noon.
You know, all I know is that dirty
Okay.
scoundrel playing the Leroy's the last game, he would wait till you killed people and he would run in and take stuff off of them.
He'd loot them and run.
Sounds like a
Well.
serious criminal to me.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, it kind of sounds like a guy that does, bad things.
So you guys want to hear overall score?
Certainly.
Fun. Yes.
Overall score out of 1 to 5, overall score is a 3.8.
Cool. Fun game.
Almost a 4. The reality is that where we saw things wrong in the components and rulebook is what hurt a higher score. Had it not been for components and rulebook, this would have been anywhere from a 4.5 to a 5.0.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're about graphics, replayability, and fun, if those are your 3 things, this is a hit. It
It's
hits
a-
those marks, and you go for it.
You can do things on your own to better some of the components if you see fit. Some people will just probably play it until they're dust. But then there's other people that, like you sleeve your cards, they may come up with a way to sleeve the tiles to keep them from falling apart. You know, I mean, there's it can be done.
You know, the one thing too, where like Lauren, and I know I noticed it, and I know John, Tim, you guys noticed it. The laminate coming off like the loot crates and stuff. If you really think about it, though, that could have actually, the design is well done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're used to other companies where we have to punch our counters out, and we take a lot more care. Where these were probably done by a machine punching them out, and you're gonna get damage and stuff because, well, the machine's not taking care of stuff.
The machine does not care about your game. We care about your game.
Anyways, we'd like to thank Dwight over there at
Not bad.
White
Label.
White Label.
Gaming.
Wow.
I'll
Listen, it's
Dwight,
really-
we just want to thank you, and we want to thank White Label and
Absolutely.
the other label.
It's really Dwight's game. This is a labor of love. This is really his. I've listened to him talk. I've watched playthroughs. I've read posts from him, and this
Well,
is all about him.
he may have screwed up and made a decent game. Sorry, you don't want to be famous? Well, no, it's probably too late for that.
In the end, like we said, except for a few things with the rulebook and components, outstanding game. It would have if we scored it just on replayability, fun, and graphics and artwork, it would have been almost a 5. As always, support your local game when we support.
Discover Games, Fayetteville, Georgia.
Kyle Lumberjack, really?
A little gun.
Game on, everybody.
Game on.
Game on, folks.
High noon, folks.
Outside, in the playground.
Chuck and Tony.